Always excited to see the counselor, one of the managing partners of Zacharia Brown. He is Carl Zacharia. We've been telling you about the third annual Learn, Care, Share, a Caregiver Symposium, Thursday, May 2nd, 9 a.m. until 12:30. We've been highlighting various people that will be a part of this major event. And we have Patty Hanson, as I've been telling you all morning. She is here today. So as we welcome her, let's say hello to our host for this edition of Zacharia Brown. He is attorney Carl Zacharia. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Rob. Thank you. It's always a pleasure to do this radio show. I really enjoy doing this show, especially spending some quality time with you.
And you bought me a muffin from
I
Starbucks.
did, yeah,
So thank you. I appreciate that. Listen, we're going to talk about what IKOR, who she is, what she does, but please talk about this incredible opportunity for people to be a part of this event, the third annual Learn, Care, Share, a Caregiver Symposium.
That's right. Yes, it's going to be this Thursday. It's in the morning from 8:30 until 12:30. It's down at South Point. You could go to our website, Zach Brown Law, ZACBROWNLAW.com to register. And it's especially important for anybody who has some older loved ones and they need to learn more about what's out there, what kind of care is there, who are some of the providers. We're going to have a lot of that there. It's sponsored by Zacharia Brown, by Migliari Consulting, and the Alzheimer's Association of Greater Pittsburgh. And again, go to our website, ZachBrownLaw.com. It's at the Loft Convention Center at South Point from 8:30 until 12:30. So please go there and sign up and come and visit and learn and care and share. Patty?
Hi, Carl. Thanks for having us
You
today.
know, when I first
Good to
met
see you.
when I first met Patty, we were singing karaoke at Bedford Inns at one of these elder law conventions that we had.
Nice.
Yeah. So we've been going for 13 years
Yeah, long
to
time.
the Elder Law Conference in Bedford, and I started working with Carl and his team about 13 or 14 years ago. So
Yeah.
my company supports older adults, individuals with disability, and children with special needs in care-related areas.
This is going to be a unique topic and something that as we age, we have to remember those children, and some are dealing with disabilities, as are these aging adults. So this is a perfect way to get the discussion going.
That's right. And Patty, IKOR will be at the Learn, Care, Share. Let's tell the audience some of the things that you do. 'Cause that's one of the things about this whole event is that there is so much out there that people do not know exists because it never's on your radar when everybody's really healthy as you get older.
Yeah. So as we have, so IKOR, our company, started as a franchise. My husband and I bought in. I'm a licensed counselor. My husband's an attorney. And we bought in about 14 years ago and into a franchise. In 2019, the franchise went away. So we were able to keep all the proprietary tools and information of IKOR. And we've developed this nice little expertise in an area that not a lot of people know about. There's this whole industry called geriatric care management or aging life care professionals that have often been medical professionals who work out of their home and help people navigate the complexities of care. In our business, we do that. We have 4 registered nurses, a social worker. I'm a licensed counselor on our team. But another area, in addition to navigating care, is handling fiduciary services and routine living concerns like paying bills or acting as power of attorney. So we don't have to do everything for a client. We can just do part of that of each area. But our registered nurses will come in, assess an older adult, someone with an adult with disabilities or a child with special needs, and we'll get to know how they're functioning in their environment. What can they do for themselves as instrumental activities of daily living, things like transportation and shopping in the grocery store, paying bills, and then activities of daily living, things that are personal care, bathing, showering, toileting. And then we get to know the medical, what are the diagnoses, what are the medications, are the medications being taken, Who are their specialists that are providers? Who are their PCPs? Then we look at psychosocial. What are the social supports for that individual? What's going on cognitively? Is there anything mental health? Then the environment. Does the place that they live support their needs? If it doesn't, what can we add technology or rail bars in the bathroom, raise the toilet seat, put a chair lift in? And then financially, do they have what Carl's team does that's so important? Do they have a power of attorney? Have they done a living will? Have they considered setting up a trust? A lot of people will call us and they'll say, oh, I need an executor, or I'm worried about their will. And I'm more focused on, look, how are you going to care and who's going to support you? So then in each of those areas that I've talked about, we look where the holes are in the system and create long and short-term goals in each of those areas to make the situation as whole as possible. So, if we find that, say, the environment isn't supporting someone well, there's a lot of different things that we can do. We can move to an assisted living. We can bring in caregivers into the home. But I think that needs, and through my experience, I found that the focus needs to be on a financial choice and not on the emotional choice. And a lot of the decisions about aging with people as they age are often unconscious.
Yeah, Patty, we get so many clients that they come and mom or dad needs help, and their children are often working, raising their own family, and most importantly, they don't know what options exist out there, medically, care-wise, financially. They just don't know, and that's why your company is such a perfect fit for so many people. But that is what this Learn Care Share is all about. Come and meet Patty and her group and find out the types of care that are out there. I mean, what you guys do is really the most important thing, and these kids do not know what options are out there. They just don't know.
Or their kids live at a distance. So
Yes.
often many of our clients have children who live at a distance, or they or people without children, or someone's husband or wife has died, and there's a distribution of labor that goes on in most marriage relationships, and she kind of prepared the meals and kept the food in the house, and he doesn't know how to prepare his own meals and do his own laundry, and he's paid the bills, and she doesn't know where the money is. We're really, and Carl, what I want to get across to people is 80% of the calls that come into our office are people in a crisis.
Yeah.
And it really is the lack of planning and the unconscious thoughts that people have that put them at risk of losing their dignity. And over the years, I see it over and over and over again that people have this vision, and then when reality sets in, it's not the same.
It's not the same. And it also gives that caregiver a chance to breathe and to be able to understand and to learn and be able to bond more with that person that they're there to take care of. And it really sets them on the right path, which she does at IKOR. And she's going to be a part of this third annual Learn, Care, and Share, a caregiver symposium, Thursday, May 2nd, just a few days away, 9 a.m. to 12:30. Loft Conference Room, South Point, right there on Noble Energy Drive, Suite 100 in that great community of Cannonsburg. ZachBrownLaw.com to find out more. Patty and I, along with the counselor, attorney Carl Zacharia, back with more of Zacharia Brown's Law for the Elderly today with your Pratt Pack on KDKA. All right, we're going to find out more about what Patty does at IKOR, but don't forget, it's happening May 2nd. This is the third annual already.
Third already, yeah.
Anyway, it's the third annual Learn, Care, Share, a caregiver symposium. You can find out more at ZachBrownLaw.com. Again, your host, Carl Zacharia.
Yeah, so this Learn, Care, Share, it's a great opportunity for people to find out what is out there. And one of the true gems, most people don't know a lot about long-term care issues until it hits them.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and so, a company like IKOR, I would be willing to bet there's a large percentage of the audience listening that has that need that didn't know about your company.
Well, and a lot of people don't even think about long-term care. They just kind of muddle through. And I would say that when I look at numbers and statistics and, being working in an area of a specialty area like care or elder law, you start to see trends of things that happen, and it's kind of like you get to be a little researcher too. And what I've noticed is most people start to have a little bit of a decline around the age of 78 to 85. And I will say that the survival skills that you learn getting to older age, they serve you really well. However, you can't let those survival skills that serve you well become stubbornness, because a lot of people in that 82 to 85 age range become really stubborn, and they dig their heels in, and they're not open to hearing a way other than they see it. And they'll hire people like Carl, or they'll hire people like me, and we're here to support people. This is our passion. This is what my team, that, like, we don't feel like this is our job. For us, this is our calling. And when we give people really sincere, heartfelt advice about how to avoid some of the obstacles of aging, and they choose not to listen or whatever, it is so upsetting and frustrating. Our team definitely lies in bed in those 80% of the crisis cases that come into our office. We're all lying in bed at night worrying about the clients that we support. And there are some definite trends that we see over and over again. And some of it is stubbornness and a lack of openness to kind of really recognize where they are. Like, I'm a licensed counselor, and I see denial so often in that age group, probably 82 to 85. At 78, that's when we get calls for like the first small crisis. And I think that everyone needs to come in and schedule an appointment with Carl and his team pre-retirement or slightly post-retirement, and have Carl bring our team in and have a really good dialogue with you about how to maintain dignity and quality of life as you age. Like, I've created these 6 programs called Solutions for Dignity, and one of the programs is Planning for Dignity. And we sit down and we talk with you, a husband and a wife, or partners, any type of partner or individuals, about what is your vision for aging and getting that unconscious, those unconscious thoughts, because there's a lot to consider. There's transportation, where you want to live, what your financial situation is. Do you have long-term care insurance? Like, one of the biggest issues that I see is all these seniors have long-term care insurance, and they buy it, and they're spending a lot of money for it every month. And they say, but I don't want to use it. And they save it to the end. Like, Carl, Medicaid, Medicaid pays for skilled care. You should be, as soon as you can't do 2 ADLs, you need to be using your long-term care insurance.
ADLs are activities of daily living.
Absolutely.
Walking, moving your body, feeding yourself,
Bathing,
dressing
showering,
yourself,
toileting,
continence,
cognitive, yeah.
But see, and I think that it's so important for people to know that we have the expertise. Patty has the expertise, and IKOR has the expertise to know what are all your options. There's so much bad information out there. I'm waiting for a call over this weekend from a gentleman. His wife is in a nursing home, and he wants to get her out. He said, I'm not going to let them take my house. And I said, I said, have him call me. I gave her the nursing facility, give him my cell phone number. Call me this weekend. Nobody's taking your house. I know people tell you that, but nobody's taking your house.
Absolutely.
It doesn't work that way for a married couple. We just put it into your name. That's all there is to it.
And really, there's assisted living it can, I mean, it's expensive, but it's more affordable than skilled care. And skilled care is going to if you don't get help from someone like Carl, they're going to require you to spend down all the assets that's in one of the partners' names. But if you go to Carl, he can work with you to get that taken care of.
Yeah.
But if you come in to see them in the pre-retirement or the early retirement phase, Carl can set up a trust for you for look back. That trust can pay for care. And
Yeah, and I was telling Patty when before we came in about one of the most brilliant clients I've ever had. I won't mention her name, although I remember it, and it was maybe 15 years ago. She was a retired university professor, and her husband had the onset of dementia. But they had some money, but she said, I really want to take care of my son. She said, I have an idea. I want to ask you about it, Carl. So what's that? She said, one of those Medicaid trusts. She says, I want 3 of them. I said, 3? Why do you need 3? She said, I have 2 sons. I want one son to be in charge of his, another son to be in charge of his, and another one that I want to be in charge of. And my idea is this. I can put that money into there. We have plenty of money to make it through 5 years. And I want to be able to tell my son, happy birthday, I love you, take out some money, take out $5,000 or whatever she wanted to do. And that's what she did. I said, you're absolutely brilliant. I've never heard of that before. It was just brilliant, a brilliant idea that she came up with.
Well, and I think that if like when I look at I can make someone who has, $300,000 in assets, I can get them really good care for the rest of their life. Or if someone has more money than if their money's going to outlive them, like right now I have a gentleman that we've set up a long-term care facility in his home. He has 24-hour care with 3 caregivers there 24 hours to assist him, but that was his plan and that was what he wanted. And having a responsible person to execute that plan and allow your children to be your children, or at least help making the decisions. Look, I care about my community. I care deeply about the people who live in my community. Your children care deeply about their parents. So often when you're resisting bringing care in, when your children think you need it, or when I say you need it, like I know what the path is before you. And that level of resistance that I see that has helped people survive and lead happy, productive lives.
You know what paths are out there. There's more than one always. And
right.
You know this is going to be the best one for you to go down at this point. We can make a move if we have to, but
I can give you the choices. Like I can lay the choices out. This is the choice. This is what, if you want to stay at home, this is what it's going to cost you. If you go to assisted living, this is what it costs you. Like, what about a continuum of care retirement community? A lot of seniors say to me, I don't want to go to care. And then when we kind of work it out and they struggle for a really long time, and then we move them to care, they say to me, oh my gosh, why didn't I do this 10 years ago?
All right, we're going to go to break, so we'll come back much more with Patty. And don't forget IKOR, Life Care Management. She's going to be a part of, and so many others, the 3rd Annual Learn, Care, Share Caregiver Symposium, Thursday, May 2nd, 9 a.m. to 12:30. Registration is at 8:30 in the morning. Loft Conference Center, South Point, 1000 Noble Energy Drive, Suite 100 in Canonsburg. But I do want to remind you, if you have anything to do that you need handled in the way of elder law, power of attorneys, trusts, estate planning, all of that, McKeesport, McMurray, Wexford, Delmont, Bradenton, Pompano Beach, and his new home, Bonita Springs in Florida, spending so much time down there, so much success. It's Zacharia Brown, 724. This number will get you in touch with all of those offices, 724-942-6200, 724-942-6200, ZachBrownLaw.com. And don't forget to register.
Go to ZachBrownLaw.com to register for the event.
Absolutely. And you can even scan your register by going to their Facebook page. Take a short break. We'll be back with more in just a moment. I want to remind everyone, this is a free event, and you can register at ZachBrownLaw.com, talking about 3rd Annual Learn, Care, Share, a Caregiver Symposium. It's Thursday, May 2nd. Again, free, absolutely no charge. 9 a.m. until 12:30. Registration begins at 8:30. The Loft Conference Center, South Point, 1000 Noble Energy Drive, Suite 100 in Canonsburg. ZachBrownLaw.com to register. It is free. Patty Hanson is here from IKOR. Back to your host, attorney Carl Zacharia.
Thank you, Rob. Yeah, this is going to be a great event. It is completely free, 8:30 to 12:30. A lot of vendors, a lot of people there. A good opportunity for you to find out what is out there, who can help you, what programs can help you and your loved ones. One of the very big ones here is, of course, IKOR and Patty and her
Oh,
company.
thanks, Carl.
It's absolutely true. I mean,
Yeah,
I'm sure a lot of people don't know that your company exists and the kinds of things that you can do to help them, and I think they'll be blown away by it.
Yeah. Well, you know what, too, I should share. I do a free consult with everyone that calls in. And and if I think that I can tell you something that you can go out and solve a concern on your own or give you the name of a program to call, I do that. Like, I see myself as really a resource to our community before I'm a business owner, and my business takes care of itself because I'm there to answer questions and support the community. And even if someone doesn't have the resources to pay for our services, I'm really going to sit down and have a good conversation with you. The other area that we do a boatload of work in is adults with disabilities whose parents have either passed or just aren't able to support them the way that they are, and they have um, often parents will set up a trust,
Correct.
a special needs trust for people with disabilities, or a third party supplemental needs trust. And Carl and his team can do that with you. And we support a lot of head injuries, spinal cord injuries, cerebral palsy, autism, people with severe mental health. They're actually people with severe mental health, I think, is a niche that we do a fabulous job with. And I've worked with Carl's brother, Mark, who's counsel at Western Psych, supporting and doing advocacy for people with mental health.
Yeah. Mark is corporate counsel for Western Psych. I think he has job security for life. Great man, my
It
my
is.
little brother.
So I'm presenting at the Elder Law Conference with Mark again this year. I don't know whether I told you that.
No.
Yeah,
we're talking.
We're talking about how the legal law of mental health and care come together to support families in an advocacy role on that.
Yeah. So again, this event it's this Thursday, 8:30 to 12:30 at the Loft Conference Center down in South Point, right off I-79, and we're going to have the Alzheimer's Association will be there. There'll be a lot of presenters. We're going to have various doctors there from Oasis Senior Networks. Patty will be there from IKOR. Just a lot of great information for you to learn about the care options that are out there, and you can learn about caregiving and share with your loved ones. And that's the whole idea behind this, is to let people know what's available.
I think caregivers are really the unsung heroes in our society. And oftentimes we'll get a call from a lawyer or a trust officer, sometimes a financial advisor, and they'll say, I know my client's really struggling. And we'll go in and we can tell in a second that there's that a caregiver is just overstressed and overwhelmed. And we'll sit down and give them a caregiver stress assessment for them to be able to recognize how stressed they are. Yeah. And there are lots of opportunities for respite and support and ways to care. Sometimes you just have to lift your head and ask for help.
Why don't you tell people what respite is? Because I think a lot of people are not familiar with the concept of respite.
Yeah, so respite is sometimes if there's an assisted living, like say I have a woman that we support, her daughter is going out of town on vacation for 2 weeks. So the client is they called the assisted living months in advance and said, hey, if you have an extra room, can my mom come for the month, or can my mom come for 2 weeks? Just enough to get a break. And then the senior goes there. The other option is bringing in care in the home, so the senior gets out. There's adult daycare. There's many ways and opportunities to bring people, to get caregivers the support that they need, because I feel like the reason I feel that the caregivers are the unsung hero, it's usually the local daughter who is responsible for caring for the aging parents. And then there are other family members that live at a distance. And sometimes, oft a lot of times, people are really great and families pull together and support each other really well. But sometimes there are family members that can scapegoat this caregiver
Yeah.
and they can second guess the decisions that they're making. And sometimes that isn't the healthiest, where if you bring in a third party and we're kind of looking at the big picture and we'll do Zoom calls with everyone together as the family to come up with decisions and solutions, that kind of resolves a lot of.
Yeah, another thing about respite is that if you have a situation where they say that there's a daughter and she checks in on mom every day, she goes in the morning, she goes at lunchtime, she goes in the afternoon, and she needs to go out of town for a week, she can get mom can be placed usually in a facility of some sort, nursing home or assisted living. It's all covered by their insurance, and people they're not even aware that it exists. Usually for like 5 days, your Medicare insurance will cover a lot. Not everybody's, but most that I've seen do. And people don't know.
Well, Carl, I
it
just
exists.
learned something. I didn't know that was a possibility.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
great.
And last night, I was doing a little social media video talking to a friend of mine who's having hip replacement surgery while taking care of his mom in her 90s and living with her.
Absolutely.
But
So often.
she's going to be going into a facility for a brief period while he recuperates.
There you go.
And you know what? Let
All
me
covered.
tell you, so often those 2 weeks or those 4 weeks in respite,
Mm-hmm.
people settle in and they feel happy there.
Yes, they do.
And they stay. Do you know?
My wife's Aunt Irene, she was in Kane Scott Township, and she was there for about a month. And I went to see her, and she said, "Oh, Carl, my caregiver, her name is Pat Sheridan. I'm sorry if I'm using your name on the air here, Pat, but she absolutely adored you. Said she couldn't live without you." And Pat was her caregiver and her best friend, and Pat worked at Kane.
Yeah.
They become it's a
It is.
They're,
It
and
really.
they're lonely at home.
Honestly, people are lonely at home and they don't even realize it until they get into a social setting. And really, these apartments in assisted living, like I go to an assisted living and I'm like, oh, can I move in tomorrow?
I say,
Or I go to
This is
Masonic
incredible.
Village
Yeah.
or Friendship Village or
Yes.
any of them, and I'm like, why are people fighting this? I'm ready.
They just have this vision that's not what reality is. And reality's far better than they've ever imagined. But yeah, this sorts of thing. I think hopefully if you're listening, you're learning some things. There's so much more to learn about. There's so many different things and options out there. And that's why I hope you will come to our Learn, Care, Share event. Keep reiterating. Go to ZachBrownLaw.com. That's ZachBrownLaw.com. It's right there on the homepage. You can learn about this event. Come. It's free. It's this Thursday from 8:30 a.m. to 12:30 a.m. And there's a lot to learn. And if you have a loved one, a spouse, a mother, a father, any loved one, and this is coming into your radar now, and you don't know much about what's out there, this is your event to learn more.
And if you're coming, stop by our IKOR booth, and I will give you and talk to you about avoiding the top 11 estate and care planning mistakes that limit dignity and quality of life in seniors.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna give 2 more things that I think are really important.
How about if we tell them, just tell me that you were referred by Rob Pratt and KDKA.
Good.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
And how about if we refer Rob Pratt to remind Rob Pratt he's got to take a commercial break?
Okay,
and,
Rob.
And then we'll come back. And you can
Okay.
do those final 2 things. But ZachBrownLaw.com, free event. You can register there. It's Thursday, May 2nd, 9 a.m. to 12:30. Registration at 8:30. Again, as Carl and I have been telling you, Loft Conference Center, South Point, 1000 Noble Energy Drive, Suite 100, Canonsburg. 3rd Annual Learn, Care, Share, a Caregiver Symposium. More with Patty Hanson from IKOR. Life Care Management, part of this big seminar. Back with Carl Zacharia in just a moment on KDKA. All right, before we get back to Carl and Patty Hanson from IKOR, I want to remind all of you, McKeesport, McMurray, Wexford, Delmont, Bradenton, Pompano Beach, and the new office in Bonita Springs. Same number for all, 724-942-6200, 724-942-6200. Estate planning, powers of attorney, trust, wills, all of that. All right, final segment, all about third annual Learn, Care, Share, a caregiver symposium, absolutely free. Register at ZachBrownLaw.com. Coming up on Thursday, May 2nd. It's, of course, going to be at the Loft Conference Center, South Point. That's 1000 Noble Energy Drive, 100, Suite 100, Canonsburg. And again, Zach Brown Law, it's free.com. You can register. Now back to Carl and Patty.
Okay, Patty, we were going to talk about these two other things.
Oh, yeah. So when seniors go into the hospital and they stay for 3 days, 3 days or more for a health concern, the discharge planners, the insurance, Medicare, will pay for you to go to rehab. And that rehab is to get stronger. But a lot of seniors think that it's the first step to getting them into care when it really isn't.
It's actually designed to be quite the opposite.
It is. And you don't really realize when you're in the hospital for a few days how unconditioned you become and what the lack of strength is. And I see it over and over again in our work that people dig their heels in and they want to go home and they can't get up and go to the bathroom. They can't care for themselves. And the situation, and then they fall, they have a fall, they get themselves back in the hospital. Like if you are in the hospital for 3 days or more, just trust me, you're not as conditioned as you were, and getting back to your level of independence isn't going to be as easy as you think. And when they offer you this rehab stay, work hard. When the therapy comes in, work really hard with them to get back to your level of strength, because honestly, that is when people start to make the biggest decline, when they skip that rehab care. The other thing is, in rehab, there are 2 levels of rehab care. There's skilled rehab, that's usually in a skilled facility. That's like an hour of physical or occupational therapy a day. And that's 5 days a week. Or if I'm helping with a hospital discharge, and we do a lot of help with hospital discharge, I see if our nurses think that that someone can do 3 hours of therapy a day, not consecutive, Medicare will cover something called acute rehab, and that will get you so much stronger. And the other area about acute rehab, you don't have to do that out of the hospital. Skilled rehab, you usually have to go out of the hospital to get skilled rehab. But in Compass, an acute rehab, they'll come and visit you any place that you're staying to see if you can get stronger. So if you have a loved one in the hospital, or if if you know that you're in the hospital and discharged, call our office. I'm happy to give free advice to your family. The other most underutilized Medicare benefit that I see is palliative care and hospice care. A lot of people and families get very freaked out when you use the word hospice, because they think that means you're dying.
Yeah.
I think hospice care helps people live.
I've had a lot of clients who went on to hospice, got so much better just by going on the hospice.
Absolutely.
That they took them off of hospice,
and then
they're back.
And if you have a chronic disease like congestive heart failure, Parkinson's, hospice is a benefit that you can have to help you live better. And so I wish, if I could change the world, this is the things that I would wish, that people would understand the benefits of hospice, that they'd understand the benefits of doing that rehab care, and that we would sit down in the pre-planning phases of retirement, early retirement, before there's a big medical crisis, and people would gather their attorney, a care manager, and their financial advisor together to sit down to get the vision for their care, to make a decision based on finances and the legacy that they want to leave in pre-planning, instead of leaving it unconscious and making an emotional decision. Because if I could change the world, those would be the 3 biggest things I think that limit dignity for older adults especially, but also individuals with disabilities.
Yeah. Made me think of that song by 10 Years After. I'd love to change the world, but I don't know what to do.
Oh, yeah. I know what I would do.
I was going to Patty saying, I'd love to change the world, and I know just what to do.
And I know, especially in this
By the way,
area.
You mentioned Parkinson's. I just had read this. I'm not a doctor, of course, but I thought it was fascinating. They have some treatment for Parkinson's that involves fecal implant.
Yes.
Fascinating. Come to Learn, Care, Share, and learn about these sorts.
And you know what? Dementia and Alzheimer's, I think that based on what's going on now, 10 years from now, dementia and Alzheimer's is going to be way down and much better treated the way that this is all the research that's happening now.
So this Parkinson's, a fecal implant, I'll be blunt, it's a healthy person's feces, poop, that they place inside of their intestines to grow their gut biome, because their biome's been depleted, and that somehow is connected with Parkinson's.
Oh, your gut health is so important.
It is, yeah.
I make sure my little dogs, I give probiotics every day. And one of the great things that we're working on at IKOR is I'm an empty nester, and I kept saying that when this happened, I'm going to get a dog and I'm going to train it as a therapy dog. And we did that. We have a golden doodle. She's a mini golden doodle. She's very cute. Her name is Roki, which is IKOR spelled backwards. And we're working to get her certified as a therapy dog to take her out to assisted livings and to people's homes, because you can't, one of the things that are, people love their dogs, and dignity matters, and being able to play with a cute, sweet dog that cuddles you is awesome.
All right. So we've got 1 minute. Summarize and tell them about this free event.
There is a lot to learn. I think we demonstrated just on this show today some of the stuff that's out there, that if this is somehow on your horizon or on your radar right now, you need to learn more about the long-term care, just the care aspects for people with older people with disabilities or people that simply need more care. Come to our free Learn, Care, Share event. You can register on our website, zachbrownlaw.com. It's this Thursday down in South Point, right off of I-79, from 8:30 a.m. until 12:30, right after lunch. Come, there's going to be a lot of exhibitors, a lot of presentations, and there's actually a lot of fun things to do there too.
Absolutely, you're giving them food.
Yeah.
Free food.
Those people have these incredible juices and things.
I know.
It's a fun event.
This is the 3rd year I've been there, and I always have a great time.
Patty, it was a pleasure.
Thank you. I enjoyed being here.
Carl, always a pleasure.
Always, Rob. Thank you very much.
All right, don't forget, be a part of it, and you can register. It's free at zachbrownlaw.com. We'll take a short break. News coming up, and then Beth Andrews, Net Worth Financial Advisors. You and I will reconvene here tomorrow right after CBS Radio News at 5 a.m. It's your Pratt Pack. Have a great weekend, and we'll see you in a couple of hours back right here on KDKA 100.1 FM, AM 1020.